I hope you guys are comfy at home because we're settling in for story time. It's in the dead of the night. A newborn baby is crying. A young mother is rocking that baby back and forth, trying to calm it down so that she can rock this child back off to sleep. There's a cool breeze rolling in through an open window nearby, covered only by a curtain swaying in and out. The air brings in the scent of flowers. The mother talks calmly to her baby, walking back and forth, saying that everything will be all right.
But then the breeze stops, and almost immediately the scent of the flowers is replaced with the overwhelming scent of vinegar. The mom freezes dead in her tracks because she knows exactly what's outside, but for reasons unclear, she needs to make sure. So she sets her baby in the crib and walks slowly to the window, hands shaking as she softly grabs the curtain.
With a deep breath, she opens the curtains and finds, to her complete horror, the disembodied head of a woman floating just outside the window with long, fleshy tendrils quickly slithering out of its head. And they're heading right past the mother and right towards her baby.
She immediately goes into mama bear mode and begins pushing and kicking the strange creature until it and its tendrils are outside the window. Quickly, she slams the window shut just before the apparition can reach her, and she breathes a heavy sigh of relief.
But she knows there's more work to be done to stop this creature from ever reaching her child, because this young mother just came face to face with a bloodthirsty Penanggalan, a creature known throughout Asia for one thing and one thing alone: its undying hunger for the blood of children. On that note, welcome to Internet Urban Legends, a Spotify original from Parcast. I'm Loey, your friendly neighborhood true believer, who doesn't really know what happened within the last few seconds of this podcast, but I'm definitely freaked out.
And I am Eleanor, your perpetual skeptic, but today, true blue Penanggalan fearer. I live in fear, live in terror. Yeah.
Together, we are the gruesome twosome with a healthy dose of respect for this cryptid, urban legend. I don't know what we're going to call her. And this is Internet Urban Legends, where we dive deep into the darkest corners of the internet.
We might find the answers we're looking for. We might scare ourselves into staying up all night. One thing is for sure, we are closing our windows. And if we smell vinegar, we are dashing, baby. She's a runner. She's a track star. I am literally out of there. This has ruined balsamic salads for me forever.
Oh. So sad. So originally, we found out about the Penanggalan from a TikTok made by Phoebe Daniels. In the video, the poster shows a strange video of a weird fleshy sphere floating in a pool with a bunch of tentacles floating below it. Weird, right? Weird already. But then she says that it might be something called a Penanggalan. She explains that the Penanggalan originates from Asia and that there have been countless sightings dating all the way back to the 11th century. According to her, the Penanggalan is a female vampiric entity whose head literally detaches from her body with all of the organs still attached. Once her head has detached, the Penanggalan floats around town looking for her favorite meal: babies. She literally loves babies. She's like, I love babies, a tasty treat. And she just floats around town.
Delectable.
Her little head and her little tendrils. Yummy. So this is really startling. If you have children, you're probably like, oh no, how do I know the Penanggalan is near? Well, a telltale sign of the presence of the Penanggalan is the smell of vinegar. You smell vinegar because the Penanggalan bathes her organs in vinegar so that she can shrink herself down to reattach to her body. It's like a whole beauty ritual experience. We're putting Olaplex in our hair. The Penanggalan is dipping herself into vinegar.
I envy the dedication to the skincare routine.
No.
An ounce, please, universe.
Girly pop, my seasonal depression certainly cannot handle that at this given point in time, but I do admire it. This TikTok, Phoebe's TikTok, was pretty big. At the time of this recording, it has over 1.5 million likes alone and 13,000 shares. The comments are filled with a number of interesting statements from people, many who claim the Penanggalan to be real. But where did this come from? Because until this TikTok, I did not know that there was just a floating lady head going around town with her little organs dangling, looking for the blood of children. Like, where did this originate?
Do you feel better or worse for that knowledge?
You know what's weird? Like, she's sort of slay. Like, if it wasn't like for the killing baby stuff, I would kind of like, if she was like doing this to like, I don't know, bad people, like if she was like a Dexter type of entity out there like killing off the baddies, I'd be like, yes, queen. However,
yeah,
right now I'm sort of freaked out.
Yeah. Typically, I would root for the vinegar-soaked vampiric entity, but the baby killing it's tough to look past.
Hard to forgive.
So, you asked where the Penanggalan comes from. It's popped up a lot throughout history, and it's become a super popular piece of almost folklore or cryptology in places as wide-ranging as Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia, and the Philippines. In each place, she goes by different names and has a different origin story, but one thing is consistent. She is always hungry. I love that for her. Never satisfied, always hungering. Yeah, slay. So let's talk about the most popular version of her. It originates from Malaysia. So in this version, it's said that she is the product of a woman who dabbled in black magic. At its most basic core, that is the story of the Penanggalan. So even in Malaysia, there are multiple versions of what this means exactly. So for instance, in one story, the original Penanggalan was once a beautiful priestess. One day, she was performing a penance ceremony in her bathtub in a room. She went into a state of deep meditation when suddenly a man entered the room without warning and startled her. Wouldn't it startle us all? This is literally my worst nightmare. This is actually the origin of a horror story, and for that reason, I choose to believe this version. Now, the priestess was pissed, and apparently she jerked her head up so quickly to like snap back at this man and tell him to get out that the sheer force severed her neck and propelled her head up from her body. Like literally just severed her head, the force of being so pissed off. Somehow she was still alive because of this black magic, and she flew after him while leaving her body in the tub. Kind of iconic.
Ladies, have you ever been so mad at a man that your head fully dislocated? Because been there. Like, Jesus Christ.
It's the way I relate.
I get her, dude. If somebody walks in on me when I'm in the bath, like, bro, get out. You said that this is your favorite version of the story, right? Because that's my favorite version by a landslide. I think it's so scary, actually, and interesting. But there are other versions, like you said. In another version of the Penanggalan story, she was an ugly young woman, consumed by bitterness because she was single and jealous of every other married woman. She was so jealous, in fact, that she went into a murderous rampage, killing many innocent pregnant women. As punishment for her crime, the people of the village hung her by a rope around her head from a tall tree and tied her legs to a bull. When the bull charged, her body was torn away, and all that was left dangling from that tree was her severed head, with all of the internal organs still intact.
Ew.
Ew, right? Like,
Ew.
Gross. Everybody in the village patted themselves on the back for triumphing over the one true evil. But then, one night, that severed head went missing, and the village would soon discover that they had unwittingly unleashed a hellish demon. In these versions of the story, it's not entirely clear why the Penanggalan went on to target pregnant women and newborns. That being said, the version that makes the most sense, at least to us, is the version of the story that Phoebe hinted at in her video. It's also, potentially, the most insane story I have ever heard in my life.
So, in this version of the legend, a woman is struggling with her self-image. She just thinks she's like the ugliest girl in town, and really tragically, everybody in the village agrees. They're really rude to her. But one day, she meets a witch, and this witch makes a deal with her. Give up eating meat for 40 days and 40 nights, adopting a full vegetarian diet. And if you can keep this diet up for that long, then on the 41st day, you will be granted a beauty so exquisite that nobody in the village will ever be able to compete. So she eagerly agrees. And most versions of the story say that she doesn't even question what happens to her if, she breaks this vow, if she decides to go in and eat meat, which obviously she does. Nearing the end of these 40 days, she almost makes it, man. I don't really get it, but she decides what's the worst that can happen? And also, how would this witch even know, right? So she decides she wants a tasty little snack, and she has herself some meat. Unfortunately, what happens next is a literal horror show. So upon breaking her diet, the woman becomes cursed to spend her nights as a grotesque creature with an unquenchable thirst for pregnant women and newborns. Thus, obviously, the Penanggalan was born. But wait.
Wow.
I know! If that wasn't crazy enough, there's literally more to this curse. So we know that the Penanggalan is a disembodied head, right? Apparently, that only happens at night. The cursed woman looks like a normal human woman by day, and it's only at night that her head separates from her body. So during the day, and this is like truly sadistic. Honestly, I kind of love it because it sends shivers down my spine. She has a job as a midwife, and she takes care of the babies that she plans to eat. What?
Oh my
Girl.
God.
Girl. Then, at night, she floats outside of their home and uses her invisible tongue to snatch the infant through the windows. Sometimes, she uses her intestines to reach up through the floorboards. No matter what she does, the victim whose blood has been consumed in this way is said to contract a mysterious disease and will die shortly thereafter. Oh my God, this woman literally spends her days scouting her victims. That to me is like by far the scariest version of this legend.
Dude, I was going to say, we talk about cryptids and like these kind of urban legends a lot on our podcast, but I'm never like actually afraid. I'm like, ooh, interesting, kind of funny. This is scary. I'm scared.
Spooky.
I'm startled. I'm afraid. Up next, we'll be talking about how to deal with Penanggalan if and maybe when you actually meet her face to face.
They're responsible for some of the most horrifying acts of violence ever known. Men and women who went to lethal extremes. But why?
Every Monday and Thursday on Serial Killers, follow the life and crimes of an actual murderer, exploring the reasons why they lived to kill.
Using extensive research and details you won't hear anywhere else, Serial Killers examines the psyche of a killer, their motives and targets, and law enforcement's pursuit to stop their spree.
Listen now and catch our special series on manhunts, where we follow the processes police use as they hunt for murderers in treacherous terrains and unusual locations.
Follow the Spotify original from Parcast, Serial Killers. Listen free only on Spotify.
One of the things that I was most surprised to find is that a lot of the comments on Phoebe's TikTok had personal stories about how families prevented interactions with the Penanggalan. And the reason that I was so surprised is because so much of this matched up with our research. And it makes it all seem so much more real, right? Like it just seems so much more like, oh my God, this is like actively like a superstition people have, or like a cryptid that people are genuinely scared of, or this urban legend that has withstood the test of time.
I can read so many like in-depth stories on Reddit or like literally anywhere else, but the minute I see more than 5 TikTok comments, I'm like, oh my God, it's real. It's real. Literally us doing like hardcore research for this episode and me like, oh my God, 5 TikTok comments said the same thing. It's real. The first thing that parents need to do in order to prevent a Penanggalan attack is to lock all doors and windows at night and cover any seams throughout the home in the floorboards. Then you scatter the sharp, thorny leaves of a local plant around the house and near doors and windows. This is said to either trap or injure the exposed lungs, stomach, and intestines of the Penanggalan as it flies in search of its prey. This is commonly done when a woman has just given birth.
However, this practice will not protect the infant if the Penanggalan decides to pass through the floorboards. So, in those instances, months before a baby is born, family members of the pregnant woman should plant pineapples under the house. Traditional Malaysian houses are built on stilts, so there's a lot of room underneath for gardening purposes, I suppose. And why pineapples specifically? Well, like this plant's leaves, pineapples are prickly. This deters the Penanggalan from entering through the floorboards. Once trapped, a Penanggalan who attacks the house can then be killed with a machete. So it's like all of this is just preliminary. Like, you are literally just preventing the girl from getting into your house, like Home Alone style, literally setting like Home Alone-esque traps. As an extra precaution, the pregnant woman can keep scissors beneath her pillow because the Penanggalan is, afraid of scissors. I don't know. Maybe she's out here killing kids because like her own child was like running with scissors and like killed her. Like, I'm just like,
Ooh, valid headcanon.
all of this has made so much sense until the scissors. And now I'm just like, wait, what?
And you know what? Interestingly, maybe the villagers have the same thought. They're like, Penanggalan unclear, we need to study her. So in case you want to capture this cryptid, remember, she looks like a human during the day. So what you're going to have to do is find somebody who, number one, avoids eye contact. When the Penanggalan is performing her midwife duties, she is said to be zeroed in on this baby, licking her lips. Okay, so I feel like even if I hadn't heard about the Penanggalan from this podcast, if I saw a midwife licking her lips every time a baby popped out, I might question her in the first place, especially if she's avoiding eye contact, especially if she always looks hungry around babies, and particularly if you notice the key giveaway of a Penanggalan, which is that she smells like vinegar. You guys remember she has to soak in vinegar to like fit her intestines back in her body, I guess, during the day. So it's just constantly secreting from her pores. So what you do is you find someone who smells like vinegar, who's licking her lips at babies, and you follow her home. You wait until the sun goes down when her head lifts from her body. Now, once the Penanggalan head leaves its body, the body can be permanently destroyed by one of two ways. Either you can pour pieces of broken glass into the empty neck cavity, disgusting, which will sever the internal organs of the Penanggalan when it reattaches to the body, or you can just forego all of it and burn the body, and that is said to kill the Penanggalan as well.
The reaction that I'm currently having is as if somebody just put glass in my own body, like, owie.
Literally,
Ouchies.
owie.
That's evil.
That seems like the meaner option for sure.
It does. Like, I get it, guys. She's eating your children and all, but like, do we need to put glass in someone's neck? I don't think so. Like most urban legends, it seems as though the Penanggalan exists as some sort of like a cultural game of telephone. As the story spreads, details change ever so slightly, along with the name. Therefore, many believe that the Penanggalan is likely the very same monster as the Manananggalan, which is from the Philippines, along with many, many other cryptids. Let's talk for a moment about potentially the blueprint for the Penanggalan, the Manananggalan in the Philippines. Sometimes she's female, sometimes not. It doesn't expose its organs, but instead detaches its entire upper torso and sprouts wings. It is said that they mostly prey on sleeping pregnant women, using a visible tongue, not an invisible one, to suck the hearts from fetuses. The severed lower torso is left standing, and to kill this creature, just sprinkle some salt or smear crushed garlic on top of the standing torso. The upper torso can't rejoin itself, and it will die by sunrise. What's interesting about the Manananggalan, as if all of this was not absolutely fascinating so far, is that we actually know the story of a quote-unquote true alleged sighting. Take this with a grain of salt, since we found it on the Cryptids Wiki, but this supposed sighting goes a little something like this. A young man tells the story of how, when he was a young boy, he heard his neighbor's dogs howling in the backyard. He checked it out by opening his window when he saw something dark floating nearby, like a person floating horizontally, facing his neighbor's opened window. He became scared and immediately closed the window and went to bed, covering himself with his pillow. The next day, he asked his friend next door if something unusual had happened in the house last night. The friend said that he and his siblings were actually guarding their mother all night long because they believed that what had come to the house was the Penanggalan. At one point, he said that he saw something that looked like a hairy tail coming up from the floorboards. So he threw garlic onto it. Said, "Be gone, demon." I mean, he didn't say that, but he threw the garlic. And suddenly, that hairy tail disappeared.
Ew. Again.
Spooky. Yeah, ew. Nah. I'm more of like a Penanggalan girl, personally, after hearing these stories.
I have to agree. She's less, I mean, I guess she does have hair, but she's less hairy. I don't know.
I find this story so fascinating. I don't know why, but the idea of this just like head floating around with organs, she's really endearing to me. I wish she didn't eat babies.
She honestly scares me. I don't know why this is the one that's really gotten to me. Every other urban legend or cryptid, they feel like a little friend. And for some reason, I respect her, but I want her to stay so far away from me.
Mm-hmm. I think that most of the time when we talk about urban legends with a bit of I guess you could just say a historical backing, as in they've been around for a long time, so often they're made to teach people a lesson in a capacity. Mm-hmm. So it's for this, I guess that if I really sat down and I was why do these creatures exist? You read the stories of how people prevent them, right? And some of it is just pure superstition, throwing these thorny plants around the house or planting pineapples underneath. But locking your doors and windows, of course, is a good practice. And maybe, just maybe, it's a superstition that crawls into people's heads and they're oh God, gotta go lock everything up. And if a robber does come in the night, then there's thorns everywhere. There's stuff to stop them. Under the floorboards, maybe not so practical, but that's the only, I guess, based in realism thing that I can think of as an explanation. Mm-hmm. Something that I thought was quite interesting is that Malaysia, kind of like the early origins of the Penanggalan, is often considered the center of mass hysteria, according to many, many sources. And I thought it doesn't necessarily tie into the Penanggalan, but I thought that this was really interesting, and it's kind of a recent thing that happened. There's this really famous example from 2018 when a girl claimed to have fallen into a shadow dimension where she saw a dark figure stalking her. And then she began to scream uncontrollably for hours as she was in this dark dimension. So after this happens, comes out in 2018, dozens of girls just began screaming uncontrollably. Local legend says that they all saw the same thing, but this leaves out that they didn't admit this until they discovered what the girl had seen. This is now widely considered a massive case of mass hysteria. I mean, we see mass hysteria constantly in pop culture. Mm-hmm. We see it with things like Momo, which we've talked about on the pod. It's everywhere all the time. So this doesn't surprise me. So maybe the Penanggalan has roots in a mass hysteria, or maybe, just maybe, there is a woman's head floating around Malaysia with her intestines fully intact.
Either way, I know this is one more reason on an endless list of reasons as to why I do not want children, girl. Oh my God. New fear enacted.
Have you guys ever heard of these urban legends? What do you think about the Penanggalan? And ooh, even better, have you ever spotted one? Dun, dun, dun. Let us know all over social media by using #GruesomeTwosome. We would love to hear from you. Thank you all so much for listening. We are once again your hosts, Loey and Eleanor, also known as the Gruesome Twosome, and we have loved this deep dive into the world of internet urban legends with all of you. You can find all episodes of the podcast, Internet Urban Legends, for free exclusively on Spotify.
Don't forget to follow the podcast so we can continue bringing you a new disturbing mystery each and every week. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram @LoeyBug and @Snitchery, and support our show by following @Parcast on Instagram and @Parcast Network on Twitter. Stay gruesome, friends.
Internet Urban Legends is a Spotify original from Parcast.
It is executive produced by Max Cutler from Parcast, /management, and Ed Simpson, Fanny Baudry, and Leah Sutherland from Wheelhouse DNA.
Sound design by Ron Shapiro, with associate sound design by Jamie Ryan.
It is produced by Jonathan Ratliff, Gemma Waters, John Cohen, Kristen Acevedo, and Chelsea Parker, and is associate produced by Gitu Meira and Tracy Levy.
Research and script writing provided by Jed Bookout.
And we're your hosts, Loey Lane and Eleanor Barnes,
aka the Gruesome Twosome.
Dahmer, Bundy, Gacy, Ramirez. You know the names, but do you know the whole terrifying story? Every Monday and Thursday on Serial Killers, take a horrific journey through the origin, evolution, and madness of a real-life murderer, exploring the reasons why they lived to kill.
Some were charismatic, others were calculated, but all of them were disturbingly deadly. Follow the Spotify original from Parcast, Serial Killers. Listen free only on Spotify.